Okay, so the question is, the first one we have is which of the following is false about the graph? Now, if it's true, false, the very first thing I do is I want to answer the questions about this and go through and look and mark T or F by each one. So maximum or minimum. Remember when you have a graph, and I've enlarged the graph, okay, so we can see it. When you have a graph and you have at the bottom, remember like if that little, if you have a little person in there, he is much smaller than everybody else. So this is a minimum, okay? He's at the bottom. So he's at the minimum, so it's a minimum, not a maximum. And you want the ordered pair. Now remember on an ordered pair, it is always X and then Y, okay? So I have to go to the X-axis. Well, look, this is underneath what number on the X-axis? It is underneath the number 1. So my X is a 1, and what number is on the Y-axis? The Y-axis, this is 1, 2, 3, this is 4, and it's a negative 4. So that's a negative 4. So my ordered pair is 1, comma, negative 4. That is my minimum. Line of symmetry is always the X value. So it always goes through the X value. So X equals 1, okay? It cuts through the middle and cuts it in half, so it folds. The X-intercept on the X-axis, so I'm going to start on the X, and I'm going to go walk across the X until, oh, I landed on it. What is that? 1, 2, 3. So this is at 3. Now keep walking across the X, and negative 1. So it touches at 3 and negative 1. Now go across the Y-axis. The Y-axis is always up and down. So go down the Y-axis until you hit the parabola right here. And that is at negative 3. So the Y-intercept is at negative 3. Now look at your questions. It has a minimum at 1, negative 4. Minimum 1, negative 4. That is true. It has exactly 1 Y-intercept at negative 3. Y-intercept, negative 3. So this is true. Line of symmetry, X equals 1. Line of symmetry, X equals 1. That is true. Exactly 1 X-intercept at 3. My X-intercept is 3 and negative 1. Oh, this should be 3 and negative 1. It only says 3, so this is false. So which one is false? It would be D. Okay? On number 2, find the value of X so the figures will have the same area. Remember to find area, that is length times width. So this is my length and this is my width. I'm going to multiply 4 times 3x plus 5. So remember, when it's by parentheses, you're going to distribute. Multiply the 4 with the 3, and then multiply the 4 times the 5. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I have x minus 3 times 5, and you're going to distribute. So that is 5 times x is 5x. 5 times a negative 3 is a negative 15. And then it says they want them to be the same. And remember, same means equal. So I put an equal sign in between there. So now I'm going to solve, and when I solve it, I want the x's on the left, no x's on the right. So I want to move this 20 to become a negative 20. Okay, so he's moved. I want to move this 5x to join the x's, so that becomes minus 5x. Okay, so 12 minus 5 is 7x equal negative 15 minus 20 is negative 35. If I put that in my calculator, I'll come up here so you can see that 7x equals negative 35. And then I need to finish solving. This is multiplication, so the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So you divide by 7. So x equals negative 5. That is the value of x for them to have the same area. On number 3, there was a problem like this on the last test, and some of you missed it, and I think it's mostly because of strategy. The following functions represent a relation that is not a function. And remember, it's not a function because something repeats. My ones repeat, so that's why it's not a function. So which of these would make it? Which one would make it a function? So I want it to be a function. So it says replace 1, 2. So I'm going to cover up 1, 2. And it says use 1, 1. So I'm going to use 1, 1 now. But I would still have a 1 and a 1. So I'd have 1s repeating. So this would not be a function. Okay? And then it says cover up 1, 2. So I'm going to cover up 1, 2 again with 7, 4. Well, if I put 7, 4 right there, the 7s repeat. Okay? So I had 2 7s. So that is a no. All right? So now it says cover up 1, 6. So I cover up 1, 6. And it says I'm going to use 3, 1 instead. So put 3, 1. Well, there's a 1, here's a 3, and here's a 3. So the 3s repeat. So, nope, that's not a function. And so the next thing I'm going to look at is, it says replace 1, 6 with 6, 4. So I'm going to put 6, 4 right there. 1, 6, 3, 5, 7. Nothing repeats, so this is a function. So D would be my answer. On number 4, this is just a straight translation. 10, and it says subtracted from. Now remember, when it's subtracted from, you have to switch the order. So instead of saying 10 minus, I'm going to put that minus in front of the 10. 10 subtracted from, and then it says 1/4 of n cubed. That whole thing, 1/4, 1 over 4, n, and then cubed means I have to the 3rd power. 1/4 n cubed, and then it says result in, so that's equals. The product is times, the product of 7 and n. So that's going to be 7 times n. Okay, and that's all I want, straight translation. Number 5, figures below represent 2 fields. One is a rhombus. Rhombus, all sides are equal. Okay, so all the sides are the same. And the other is a regular pentagon. Regular means that the sides are equal. Okay, that's what regular means. Find the value of n that makes the 2 fields have the same perimeter. Rem means to add, so I need to add my sides. Now, since this one is 2n plus 6, and this is a regular pentagon, every side is 2n plus 6. So put 2n plus 6 on all of them. Now, I need to add. So I'm going to add what is the same. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So that is 10n. And then I'm also going to add 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. And that is 30. So 10n plus 30. Now on the other one, I have 3n minus 2. And since it's a rhombus, all of the sides are 3n minus 2. So I'm going to put that on all of them. And then again, I'm going to add. Who goes this together? So 3n, 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 3n. When I add those together, I get 12n. Negative 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. That's negative 8. Some of you still are getting stuck. You can enter it like that in the calculator, or you can say addition in between. Either way, you're going to get negative 8. I want them to be the same. That means equal. So I put an equal in between and then draw your line. I want n's on the left, no n's on the right. Okay? So 30 needs to move. And 12n needs to move. So he becomes a negative 12n. Okay. Oops. So now you've got 10 minus 12. And when I enter that from the top, 10 minus 12, I get negative 2n equals. And then on the right side, I have negative 8 minus 30, which is negative 38. And then the opposite of multiplying is to divide. I'm going to divide by -2. You divide by whatever is by the variable, the exact same thing. So n equals a positive 19. Okay, on the next one, so on number 6, we're just doing some solving. Remember, draw your line. I want to solve for y. So this side has a y, so everything on the other side will not have a y. Okay? So I'm solving for y. That means he needs to go. He does not have a y. So this one is going to move. Negative 6x becomes a positive 6x. Okay? So I have y left, and there's no y's over here, so I'm good. So now I can bring everything down. On the right, I have y equals. On the left, you start from the top. That's -5 plus 6x, and you're done. Number 7, I see parentheses. When I have parentheses, I have to multiply. So -5 times 4 is -20x. -5 times -7 is a positive 35. And that equals 45. Okay, draw your line. I want x's on the left, no x's on the right. So 35 needs to move. Okay, and so you've got -20x equals 10. Now, the opposite of multiplying is to divide, and you divide by whatever is in front of the variable, okay? Now, on this one, I'm going to show you in particular, it's very important that you go from the top. It's 10 divided by. So make sure that you go from the top. So I'm going to say 10 divided by -20. And your answer is -1/2. So n equals -1/2. Number 8, draw your line. There's no parentheses, but there's a whole bunch of things on the left. So look to see what can go together. The x's go together. So I have to put that in my calculator. I would say 3 minus 7, which is -4x. What else can go together? I can put together -10 and then -6. So -10 minus 6 is -16, and then that equals 12. Now remember, you want x's and then no x's, okay? So the opposite, subtracting 16 would be adding 16. So -4x equals 28. The opposite of multiplying is to divide. So I'm divided by -4. So x equals -7. And then number 9. So on this one, you are given an equation, okay? So I'm going to solve for this first. So you need to solve first, okay? So 4m minus 6 equals 18. Let's solve that. Draw your line. I want m's on the left, no m's on the right. So I add my 6. So 4m equals 24. And the opposite of multiplying is to divide, so you divide by 4. N equals 6, okay? Now, it says there's a second part to it. What is -7m plus 40? So -7m plus 40. Well, what did I just figure out? I said m is 6. So what am I going to place in for m? I'm going to put 6 there. That's going to now become 6. So -7 times 6 plus 40. And then I just put that whole thing in the calculator. So you have -7, parentheses 6, and then plus 40. And you get -2. So your answer is -2. So that is your final answer to that question. Okay, and I'm going to start. So look for Common Assessment 2 Review Part 2 to start with number 10.